Welcome back, guys. This is Tim from Modern Tech Reviews, and today I've got a brand new wireless gaming mouse. This is the Corsair Dark Core RGB SE, and this is wireless gaming mouse, as I mentioned, fully programmable, and we're going to do a short review on this mouse, and I'll give you guys some pros and cons based on my use with this thing, and hopefully this will help you in deciding whether or not you want to buy one of these. If you've seen my recent video called RGB Madness, you'll see that I've just gotten a whole bunch of Corsair products, all RGB. I built a new system, which you can see off to the side there on the camera. That is a fully RGB system, and I also got a brand new Corsair K95 gaming keyboard and a Corsair MM800 RGB mouse pad. I wanted this mouse to go with it because I wanted to be able to control everything with one piece of software. It wasn't available when I did the other video, but now I have it, so we're going to see how well this thing performs. This video, I'm actually going to start out specifically with my list of cons. These are the things that I don't like about this mouse, and then I'm going to end off with the pros list. And as I said, hopefully this can help you make a decision. I like to, present you a video that's going to give you more or less an informed decision before you go out and spend $100 on a new piece of gaming hardware. Right off the bat, I'm going to say that my number one issue with this mouse is a problem I've had with the left mouse click. I'd say 1 out of 20 clicks, it just doesn't register. You hear the mouse click, so I'm clearly hitting the button, but it doesn't actually register on my computer as a mouse click. So this is a little bit annoying. It's not a huge deal, but of course if you're really getting this mouse to be a hardcore gamer, that could make or break the match that you're running. So there's definitely something to consider. Now, I did contact Corsair tech support about this, and they suggested that I reinstall the software and try it on another computer. I actually did not try it on another computer, but I've had enough experience over the years. This is a brand new computer that I've got it plugged into, and I have tried it in different USB ports, and it's still causing the same problem. I did update the software as they recommended. That did not fix the problem. Now, what I also did is I bought a second one, another mouse, identical product. I just ordered another one just so I could test it and see if it had the same problem, and sure enough it did. So I don't think this is a unique case. It seems to me that it's just kind of how the mouse is designed. It could possibly be that I'm just not clicking it hard enough for it to register every time, but I don't have this problem with my other mouse, which is a SteelSeries Sensei wireless mouse. I've never had a clicking problem. It seems to register every click that I give to the thing. So that's a bit of a annoyance, but it's definitely number one on my con list. Now, number two on my con list is the placement of the DPI clutch switch. That's this button that's on the side of the mouse, and when you have your hand on it and you go to put your thumb on that, for me anyway, I find that my thumb just isn't quite far enough forward to hit this button with any sort of comfort. I kind of have to stretch a little bit to reach it. Now, that may be different for other people, just depending on how you hold the mouse and how big your hand is, all of that. So don't necessarily take this as a con for everybody. This is a con for me for sure because it just doesn't line up very well with my hands, but this may or may not be a con for you. I'd recommend that you go to a store, try to find a store that has one of these things on display, or definitely buy it from someplace that lets you return it with no hassle, just in case. My number three con for this mouse is the battery life. Now, I've had my SteelSeries Sensei wireless for, I think, about a year now, and I complained a little bit about the battery life on that because I had to charge it every couple of days, depending on how much I used it, of course. This mouse, I literally have to charge every single day. I haven't found a way around it. What's interesting is on the internet, some other reviews that I've seen and even the specs listed for this mouse, it's supposed to have a 24-hour mouse battery, which I believe is 24 hours of actual use, Well, realistically, I'm getting closer to 12 hours. So that may not be a total deal breaker for everybody. 12 hours is a pretty good amount of time in a day. You just have to charge it every night. However, I also find that not only does it need to be charged regularly, if you leave for an extended period, say several hours, the battery seems to drain, even though it goes into a sleep mode. So I find that I have to turn the switch off when I leave, or else I might come back later and find the battery is totally dead. That is definitely a con for me, especially on a brand new mouse that's listed as having an exceptional battery life of 24 hours. It has not reached that amount for me at all. Another con that I've got is that there doesn't seem to be a way in the software to actually dim the lighting. It's just either on or off. There is a slider switch, but it's all the way on or all the way off. There's no medium point for this slider switch. And that actually might be part of the reason why the battery drains so fast, because it just is running at full blast the entire time you're using it. And that's kind of a bummer right there, because it would be nice if there was a way to fade it out a little bit, or maybe have it dim while you're using it, or something like that, but somehow have some sort of sensors or switches to be able to affect that LED lighting a little bit better. The next con on my list is when you put this mouse in Bluetooth mode, which it does have a switch to change between Bluetooth or wireless, you lose the capabilities of changing and modifying the mouse, and basically you can't use the software, the Corsair software, to configure the mouse at that point, which means your LED lighting is not changeable anymore and your macros no longer function. Now, I didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to figure this out. Maybe there is a way to get it to work, but it seemed to me that it should be pretty simple if it's going to work, but I'm thinking that there may be a technical limitation with how Bluetooth works that's kind of preventing this from working. So my next con is it's difficult to figure out how much battery life is remaining. It would be really nice if it had a battery level indicator on the mouse itself. Then at a quick glance, I would know if I'm getting low, if I need to charge it before I leave the house to make sure that I'm fully charged when I get back. But there's just no easy way to get to it. You have to open up the software, go into the settings, and then look at the mouse, and there's a little tiny picture of a battery, and it gives you an indicator of how much battery strength is left. It also seems like once it gets out of the range that says very high for amount of battery, it goes pretty fast down to very low. Like there's not a whole lot of in-betweens. So that to me is possibly something they could alter with software to make this battery issue that I'm having with it better, at least something more acceptable to me. If I'm able to see what kind of battery life it has left, I just have to make sure that I charge it here and there throughout the day or every day, that sort of thing, just to make sure it's fully charged. And that brings me to my final con, which is related to the charging mechanism on this mouse. Now, as you're going to see shortly when I get to my pros list, this mouse has the built-in wireless charging format, which is pretty nice. However, the actual module for charging on this mouse is way down at the bottom edge of the mouse. And what that means is when you go to charge it, you have to make sure that you push the mouse far enough forward that it hits that spot. Now, most chargers are going to have some sort of indicator to let you know that it's charging. The problem that I ran into is I bought a charger that is relatively small. I liked how it looked, and I just wanted something that wasn't going to take up too much space. And it's round. Well, when you push the mouse to the edge of it in order to get it to start charging, the mouse has a tendency to tip off the edge, at which point it will not be charging anymore. So I had that experience the very first night where I pushed it to the edge, I saw that it was charging, and left the room. Well, it must have been just a couple minutes after I left that the mouse kind of tipped forward and it didn't charge at all. So the next morning when I came down to use my computer, it was completely out of battery. So that concludes my list of cons. It's a relatively short list, but these are some points that you should take a look at when you're considering whether or not you want to buy this mouse. But let's get into my pros list, because this mouse does have quite a few. My number one pro on this mouse is that it's very comfortable to hold. The only point that is not comfortable, as I mentioned earlier, is when you're trying to press that clutch switch on the side of the mouse. But overall, the contour of the mouse and the way that it's shaped when I'm resting my hand on it is very comfortable. It has a soft, almost rubbery feel to the surface of it. Although it's not a gripping rubber, it's just a very smooth, silky kind of feel. And it is very comfortable to hold this mouse. My next con has to do with the RGB colors. They are very bright and vibrant. They definitely complement the keyboard and mouse pad that I bought recently. The colors just light up very, very nicely. My next pro is the wireless charging. This is a very, very good idea for a mouse, especially as they come out with mouse pads that have the wireless charging built right into them. There is one by Corsair that I almost bought, but it does not come in an RGB version, so I went ahead and got a different mouse pad just because I did want the RGB lighting. Now, down the road, I imagine Corsair will come out with a wireless charging mouse pad that works with this mouse that has the RGB as well. That is a very, very cool feature and one that I think makes this mouse a very good investment. My next pro is the price. I got this mouse, I want to say, for about $95. And for the features that you get with this mouse and the quality of the build, just kind of the overall comfort and feel of this mouse, I think it's a very, very good price point. It's actually considerably cheaper than other similar mice that I've checked out with similar features by other brands. Another pro is that it does work with the wireless adapter or with a wired connection and Bluetooth. So you actually have 3 different ways you can connect this mouse. But if you're in the middle of doing something important, whether it's gaming or working or what have you, and your battery dies, as long as you've got the cable handy, you can just pull it out and plug it in real quick and away you go. Which actually brings me to my next pro, which is that the mouse does charge itself while it's plugged in with USB. So this is a viable option to have a USB cable handy so that you can always keep it charged. You don't have to use the wireless charging. You can use this option if you want. My final pro for this mouse is that it does work with the same Corsair utility software that runs my keyboard and my mouse pad. So it's a one-stop shop, one location to configure everything. That's a nice feature. I think that a lot of people probably prefer that. People seem to have a particular brand that you might pick, and that way you've got one program, you get in and you configure everything. So in conclusion, this mouse all around is a very, very nice mouse. I think it's well crafted. It has a lot of nice features. There are a couple of cons, and I definitely encourage you to take a look at the beginning of my video, because if those cons are the deal breakers for you, then you can just skip it and move on to a different mouse that you can check out. There's plenty of other wireless gaming mice out there. A lot of them nowadays are RGB, so if that's what you're looking for, certainly that's the way to go for you. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been another review at Modern Tech Reviews. And as usual, if you have any questions, please post them down below and I will answer your questions. And also, if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, feel free to do so. And stay tuned for more videos in the future.